one sentence from his letter, and I'll translate. This Arab embitters our lives every day. The neighborhood is made up of elderly Jews who can do nothing. You are our only hope. I am their only hope in the state of Israel. Can you believe such a tragedy? Holocaust survivors reach Haifa, and the terrorized Idbach al-Yahud slaughter the Jew in broad daylight. What can one say? Especially when I know that none of you know about this. None of you heard about this. Because your local rag, the Bulletin, is a typically biased paper. The second ad that we placed was not meant to be an advertisement. The second ad in which I wrote why I want to debate Lerner, I asked to be placed as a guest column, an op-ed, and they refused. But the reply by Lerner was in a guest column. Dan Al-Magor is one of the leading entertainers in Israel. Very, very, very popular fellow. Last December there was a rally of Peace Now in Tel Aviv to commemorate the anniversary of the Intifada. Yes, that happens too. I'm waiting for the first Arab rally to commemorate the founding of Israel. In any event, one of the speakers there was Dan Al-Magor, and he said the following, and I'll translate. We had better prepare for ourselves the glass cages in which we will sit when they judge us for what we have done to the Palestinian people. This is a diseased mind, the glass cages, Eichmann, and us. That is the parallel. That is the comparison. Eichmann in glass cages for his crimes, and we will sit in glass cages for our crimes. Equal crimes. Eichmann massacred millions of Jews, and the Israeli army is fighting a people that would finish the job. That is the equation. And then he read a poem that he had written. A poem to the soldiers of the Israeli army. You, the soldiers of every corps of a unit, look your commander straight in the eye and say, no, we won't shoot at children. They only want to live with dignity as a free people in their own lands. That's all they want, these children. On December 1st of '89, last year, an interview on Israeli TV with a 17-year-old child, an Arab from Shechem, a member of the Red Eagles. Jabba Hawash was his name. The Red Eagles' job was to go and kill Arabs who collaborate with Jews. And so he was interviewed on Israel TV, December 1st, 1989, and he described how he had murdered his cousin, a woman named Barakat. And I'm going to read part of the transcript of the TV interview. I said to the guy who was with me, let's kill Barakat. He said, why not? Let's have a beer. Why not? Let's kill Barakat. Why not? Yes, indeed, the poor Palestinians, Michael, yes. So we went up to her flat. We went in, knocked on the door, she woke up. She came down with us. I didn't ask her anything until she had come down with us. I took her out in the street to the spot where I intended to kill her. I tied her up, I blindfolded her and smashed her head in with an axe. She had put a stain on me. You were tied by blood, I had to kill her. Let's hear that poem again, Dan Al-Magor. All they want to do is live in peace. That's all they want to do. The Jerusalem Post, 3 days later, interviewed Arabs in Shechem to see what their reaction was, since Israel TV, in its insanity assumed that the Arabs would see this and be shocked. This is from the Jerusalem Post, December 4th, 1989. People were proud and pleased at what Chawash said. They were impressed that he was even prepared to kill his own cousin. Sometimes when I come back here to visit, I fall into a deep depression. People say, well, why can't you work things out with the Arabs? Let's sit down over coffee and cake with Arafat and work things out. Now maybe you can do that, Michael, in Peoria. In Peoria you can work out just about any problem. There's people there who are pretty decent people. But the Middle East is not the Middle West. It's a different world, a different culture, a different concept, different mentality. It's a mentality in which someone goes and kills his cousin with an axe and says, I'm proud of it. And this poor simp speaks of the oppressed Palestinians. Let me tell you with whom we are dealing. Last July, you all recall the bus that was sent over the cliff and 16 Jews died. But what you may not know is that 2 weeks later, another attempt was made on the same bus line, 405. An Arab got up, stabbed the bus driver twice, but he was overpowered, and the bus driver was able to break the bus before it went over. When the police questioned this Arab, he stunned them by telling them that the previous night he had murdered a Jew in Tel Aviv, and they didn't know about it. So he took them to the site, a construction site, and there in a construction pipe was the body of a 36-year-old Indian Jew from India. That's only part of the story. He and the Jew, the Arab and the Jew, were both workers on the same construction site. They had lived there together for months, working, ate together, slept together, worked together. And that night he took a bottle, hit the Jew over the head, tied him up, and then proceeded to peel the skin off of his face. Did you hear about that? Yeah, maybe one did hear, too. Where are all the temple rabbis on the Bay who every single Sabbath get up and beat their breasts in guilt over things that Arabs do to Arabs, and then we beat our breast over it? Where was Michael Lerner to get up and say, my God, this proves what the Chumash said, if he ever read it, about the first Yishmael, and he will be a wild man, his hand against everyone, and everyone's hand against him. He doesn't quote that because that's a racist concept. His Bible is much smaller than ours because of all the pages he had to tear out of it. Don Sherman is the chief of staff of the Israeli army. And on January 11th of '89, last year, he held a press conference in Tel Aviv. A press conference for both the local press in Israel and also the foreign press. And here's the headline the following day in the Jerusalem Post. Sharon, Intifada can't be eradicated. What was that worth to the Arabs? Can anyone place a money value on that statement? The chief of staff of the Israeli army tells the world and the Arabs, we can't beat them. How much was that worth to them? How much of a boost to their morale was that? How much spirit did that give them? And how many Jews were attacked and perhaps murdered because of that statement? You believe that it can be eradicated? Okay, then shut up. Be quiet. Or better still, resign. If you think you can't do it, let someone else who thinks he can do it do the job. The Intifada can't be eradicated? You make me Minister of Defense for a week and there is no Intifada. First of all, you seal off the territories to the news media. We don't owe them anything. What do we owe them? Biased, anti-Israel, anti-Semitic? What do we owe them? Margaret Thatcher in the Falkland War did not allow the news media in. Reagan, Grenada did not allow the news media in. Gorbachev, the great Democrat, Azerbaijan, did not allow the media in. I would shut off the territories to the news media, and they'd be given briefings every morning at the King David Hotel. And if unhappy, they'd be given free tickets to the Wailing Wall. And then I would tell our soldiers, Chevre b'pkuda, order. You have 2 days, whatever you want to do, but at the end of those 2 days, I don't want to see any Intifada, and there would not be one.
Welcome to the Holocaust. I mean, that's what you're asking for. You're going to kill a bunch of people.
One more word out of you while I'm speaking, and I'll throw you out. You come here, shut up. You can ask any question you want later. In the meantime, be quiet. Now, the tragedy is that this is the greater danger to Jews than any Arab that ever lived. The person who lives here, has he the slightest concept of the Jewish pain over the last 70 years? Speaks of a Holocaust. Had I been Prime Minister when the Intifada started, not one Arab would have been killed, because not one Arab would have been there. And what is more moral? To break their bones, to shoot them, or to transfer them out of the country and let them live happily with their cousins as they do in Beirut? So what happens when Shomron says this? 50 soldiers protest against jail term because of unclear orders. Ilan Arav was a soldier, is a soldier, who while on duty outside of Shem, he and his unit were attacked by stone-throwing Arabs. He shot and he killed 2 Arabs. Now, instead of being given 2 medals, he received 2 years in jail because he disobeyed orders. Now, let me tell you the orders that are given to soldiers, since I served in the army, unlike Michael Lerner and unlike others who not only don't know Torah but haven't got manners. I served for 13 years in the army, and I know the orders. And let me tell you what the orders are concerning soldiers who are faced with stone-throwing mobs. If you are faced with a stone-throwing mob, you must shout to them in their own language, in Arabic. You must shout to them, "Stand back." Now, if they don't, and you can bet your mortgage home that they won't, if they don't, you may then shoot in the air. If after that you are still around, you may then shoot at one stone thrower in 1 foot. And if you're still alive, you may then shoot freely. He disobeyed that because he's normal. What happens is that most soldiers don't obey it,